What's up guys, Joe here. I've always been fascinated by how small mistakes can lead to massive consequences. Today we're diving into some of the most expensive blunders in history. These aren't just your everyday mess-ups, we're talking about mistakes that cost trillions of dollars. Let's kick things off with a disaster that's become legendary, the sinking of the Titanic. This unsinkable ship went down on its maiden voyage in 1912, resulting in a loss of over $7.5 million at the time. That might not sound like much now, but adjusted for inflation, we're looking at around $200 million in today's money. The crazy thing is, this disaster could have been prevented with better design, more lifeboats, and if they just slowed down a bit. This tragedy led to major changes in maritime safety regulations, showing how sometimes it takes a massive failure to drive important improvements. It's like when a major software bug leads to a game-changing update, but with much higher stakes. Now let's talk about some nuclear-sized mistakes. The Chernobyl disaster in 1986 is probably the most infamous nuclear accident in history. The cleanup and containment efforts have cost an estimated $235 billion so far, and the area around the plant is still uninhabitable. Fast forward to 2011, and we've got the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster. Triggered by a massive earthquake and tsunami, this accident has racked up costs of around $200 billion. It just goes to show how critical it is to prioritize safety, especially when dealing with something as powerful as nuclear energy. The Challenger space shuttle explosion in 1986 was a devastating loss, both in terms of human life and resources. The disaster, caused by a faulty O-ring seal, cost $5.5 billion. It was a stark reminder of the risks involved in space travel and led to significant changes in NASA's safety protocols. But not all space mistakes end in tragedy. Take the Hubble Space Telescope, for example. When it was first launched in 1990, scientists realized its main mirror had a tiny flaw. The fix? A series of spacewalks to essentially give Hubble glasses, costing about $1.5 billion. It's like the most expensive camera repair ever. Despite this expensive hiccup, Hubble has since provided us with some of the most amazing images of our universe. These environmental disasters not only cost billions but caused immeasurable damage to ecosystems and communities. It's a stark reminder of the consequences when profit is prioritized over safety and environmental protection.
Take it, you're holding your from the first steps.
The subprime mortgage crisis and Enron scandal show how greed and lack of oversight can lead to catastrophic consequences. We're talking about trillions of dollars lost, millions of lives affected, and a global economy shaken to its core. It's a stark reminder of the responsibility that comes with financial power. The sinking of the Vasa and the loss of the Library of Alexandria remind us that some mistakes have consequences beyond financial loss. They represent incalculable losses of cultural knowledge and historical artifacts, showing how human error can impact our shared heritage. These technological failures, from NASA's unit conversion error to Knight Capital's software glitch, show how vulnerable we are to simple mistakes in our high-tech world. They're stark reminders of the need for rigorous checks and balances in our increasingly complex systems, where even small errors can lead to massive, costly failures. Sometimes human decisions can lead to devastating consequences. The Aberfan disaster in 1966 is a heartbreaking example. A massive coal tip collapsed onto a Welsh village, burying a school and houses. This tragedy, which cost 144 lives and about £150 million in today's money, was entirely preventable. On an even larger scale, we have the Soviet Union's forced collectivization of agriculture in the late 1920s. This policy, aimed at rapid industrialization, led to widespread famine and economic collapse. Millions of lives were lost, and the economic impact was immense. It's a chilling reminder of how political decisions can have far-reaching and devastating consequences. It's like a government-level version of a disastrous software update that bricks millions of devices. War is costly in every sense, but some wartime decisions have led to particularly expensive mistakes. The sinking of the RMS Lusitania in 1915 by a German U-boat was a pivotal moment in World War I. This attack on a civilian ship, which cost millions in losses and 1,198 lives, helped turn public opinion against Germany. It eventually brought the United States into the war. The true cost of this single event is incalculable. But perhaps the most famous military blunder in history is Napoleon's invasion of Russia in 1812. Napoleon's Grande Armée, once 680,000 strong, was reduced to just 27,000 effective soldiers by the end of the campaign. The financial and human costs were staggering, and this failure marked the beginning of the end for Napoleon's empire. It's a classic example of how overconfidence and poor planning can lead to disaster on a massive scale, like launching a product without proper testing, but with an army instead of a tech gadget. So there you have it, some of the most expensive mistakes in history. It's insane to think about how a single decision or oversight can snowball into a trillion-dollar disaster. But here's the thing, while these mistakes were incredibly costly, they've also taught us valuable lessons. Whether it's improving safety standards, tightening financial regulations, or just double-checking our unit conversions, we've learned a lot from these epic fails. History's got some crazy expensive lessons for us, might as well take notes, right? Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.